since I trimmed down my photo to fit 8 by 10, I'm going to make sure that when I pull back the cover paper here, light in the corner, I'm just going to fold a little bit. I don't want to pull the whole thing off. Just fold it down, and then I'm just going to work at the top of my photo. Line it up as best I can, even with the top and the sides, and then just slowly work it down. So I got the top sticking, press down right to the fold, and then I'll slowly continue to pull out the rest of the cover paper and press down slowly so I don't get any air bubbles. So I got my green cutting mat, I've got a ruler, and I've got my X-Acto. I'm going to be cutting along the top, the center, and the bottom, and of course around any doorknobs. On the right and the left of the hinge, since I have a double door, I'm going to be cutting that only partially through. If I cut all the way through, the door is going to fall right through. Now, I'm going to cut the top edge first, make sure my fingers are set up in a nice clean L so I can have good pressure on the ruler, and I got to line that ruler up with the edge of the top of the door, and then I'm just not going to cut through the first time. I'm going to do one slow cut with a little bit of pressure and stop, and then go back and repeat the process until I feel that I've gotten all the way through. I'm going to check to make sure that I've gone through. And if I haven't, I'll just continue to add a little bit of pressure. I notice I haven't gone through, so I'm just going to put the blade right back down, a little bit more pressure just to get through the top edge. And then I can tell, if I look on the back, that I've made it all the way through. Repeat the process for the bottom of the doorway and the opened side of the doorway using the ruler and the X-Acto knife. Remember, safety matters. Make sure your ruler is held down nice and tight. Make multiple cuts to get through the backing board. On my door, I have this little opening, this little clasp. So I'm going to need to freehand cut the edge of that here, the top and the bottom. If you have a regular doorway, you can just cut the straight line using the ruler, which I'm going to do next, where the two doors meet. But if you have any type of situation where the door has a gate lock or some kind of shape like what I have here, you're going to have to do some freehand, careful cutting. Now with the doorway opening, I'm going to go back to using my ruler. I'm going to line it up on the edge of the door opening, and I'm going to skip, in my case, I'm going to skip that little gate lock. So I lift my top edge, cut to the edge and stop, and then I'm going to lift my X-Acto knife when I'm done cutting through the top, and then I'm going to cut through the bottom. So I'm doing the top edge and then the bottom edge, right down to the cut at the bottom of the doorway, not the bottom of the photograph. Once I finish the door opening, I'll check the back to make sure that the opening is cut all the way through, and just clean up any edges that need to be cleaned up. To cut the hinge side of the door, whether I have double doors or single door, I need to line up the ruler on the edge. Now, I can't cut through. What I need to do is just line the ruler up and make a few cuts with a little bit of pressure. It's what's called scoring. So I put one cut down, and I'm going to rotate my image on the double-sided, and I'm going to line it up, and I'm going to make a second cut. What you're doing is cutting part way through, not all the way through, so that the doors don't fall off. Make sure you don't cut all the way through. You do not want the doors to fall off. You want the doors to hinge and to be able to open and close as you go. If I test it, you can see it's a little bit tight. All right, if I push hard, I want to try to get a little bit further. Just another light pressure scratch right through. All right, right along the edge of the ruler to get another little bit of the backing board cut through, so that when I go ahead and do the other side, a little bit of pressure, multiple cuts. I'm probably only cutting about halfway through. Now when I open the door, it will crease evenly and neatly and cleanly, so that as I take my photographs, I'll be able to look through the doorways or the doorway and see what I'm looking at. If the door doesn't open well enough, just go back and check the inside corners like I'm doing here to make sure I've gone far enough with the cut to allow the door and the crease there, that scoring that I did, allow that to bend as I'm showing you here. Now both doors open neatly, and I can take a shot right through the opening of that doorway.